Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sonic Frontiers. So, around this point, I realized that I'm in the boss arena, and I really shouldn't be. But, yeah, this is one of the places that you can go during the boss fight to climb onto the boss.
It's a pretty view. Nice water.
I was just like, okay, what am I doing here? What am I supposed to be looking for? But there's nothing to do in this area because you're not supposed to get here. You're supposed to come through this tunnel here.
Oh, did you accidentally trigger the boss?
No.
Nope.
No, Star Shower.
The blood moon rises once again.
So we didn't talk about this at all when it first spawned because we went into a Breath of the Wild tangent. But can we talk about the Star Showers,
You
please?
see, you guys are talking about the
most
blood
obnoxious
moon,
mechanic.
and I'm just thinking that the starting music to Super Mario Galaxy should start playing.
The funny thing about the star shower in the boss arena that I'm in now is that none of the stars actually spawn like in the boss arena because then
Yeah,
you're
because it's not supposed to be
not
here.
supposed to be here. Okay,
Yeah.
but that slot machine, it's dead center in the middle of the UI. Why? Who thought that was a good idea?
You see, Sonic has a gambling problem.
Oh, this is the puzzle I was talking about. The 5 torches. And I can never tell which fucking one I'm supposed to...
It's
that's
the
one. Yeah,
that's
that's the one that says
right in
that
front
there's
of
2.
that.
Yeah, it's basically, you're just counting.
Wait, hang on.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
1, then 2.
1 and 2
But you know,
and 3, 4,
I thought
5.
that one was 4, and the one over there was 1. I thought these were like in
No.
order.
What?
No, it's
clearly 1.
The one where 1 is behind, you have to do first.
Oh,
And
you
then
see,
the one that 2's behind, you have to do second.
You see, the other one was like 3 torches, and then to the side there were 3 numbers displayed on pillars.
Yeah, you know what? So I feel like this is a case of where the context of the other puzzle makes this one seem harder than it actually is. Because I bet you would probably get this first try if you had seen this puzzle first.
Probably, yeah. But this one's the harder one to find by far. Oh. Okay. Yeah, now I understand, but, you know, that's still awkward design.
Really? I didn't have any problem with it at all.
Well, I mean, it's awkward design to have 2 puzzles that look the same but mean different things.
Right,
you know?
right. I just kind of like, because to use the first one as an example, the numbers were side by side to the torches, and I just like compared, basically. It's kind of like mixing, not like so much mixing match, but just like match what's being asked. And here it's even more blatant. It's literally just activating
1,
this certain
2,
sequence.
3, 4, 5.
Yeah, 4 or 5. It's amazing.
I'm also thinking about this in probably a more complex way than I need to, because Breath of the Wild has similar puzzles, but they're also like presented in a different way.
Yeah, the star showers suck. I mean, it's a great way of farming purple coins. You get them by the ass load, just by spinning the slot
you have
reels.
200 of them right now.
Yeah.
What are the
you don't?
actual
So every
stars
time
do?
you collect, every time you collect the star, it gives you a chance to spin the reel. Basically,
I'll give you a piece of pro tip advice. Don't bother spending the entire night collecting star bits because
I
you
don't.
will never be able to spin the wheel enough times to match the number of star bits that you can collect.
Yeah.
How do you actually
Unfortunately,
spin the wheel?
you just click star bits. It does it automatically for you.
It does it automatically every few seconds, and it'll spend 1 star
Yeah.
bit per spin. But
You can manually stop the reels with the D-pad.
oh,
I think like hitting up or down on the D-pad stops the reels manually.
oh,
And can you do
I
that
don't
to
bother-
time it, or is it still locked till you get what you get?
You can do it to time it. I just let it play out anyway, because again, you can get so many purple coins just not even trying. And most of the time, I'm not, because I'm not paying attention to this. Unfortunately, the blood moon sequence lasts, I think, 20 minutes in real time. It lasted the entire night.
it lasts the entire night. Yeah. So
And that slot reel never leaves the fucking screen.
And how long does it take to like spawn a new star bits?
They're all over the place. Like,
Well, I mean, like between these segments happening. I mean, like
they respawn all the time in exactly the same locations.
oh, I'm sorry, I'm
So-
talking about the whole sequence. Like
the blood moon sequences.
Yeah,
when
like-
did it happen? I think it's random.
You can spend the entire blood moon just running circles around a specific area of the map if you want, because the star bits respawn really quick.
okay, I'm not asking my question right. How long do you have to wait between blood moons?
I don't know. I think it's random. Like I think there's a random number that goes up every time it decides to reach night. I never seen it happen like 2 nights in a row, if that's what you're asking.
Okay, because I know in Zelda there is like an actual like set amount of in-game days between blood moons.
In Zelda, it's pretty fun because like there's a set number of in-game days, but you can delay the blood moons by doing specific things like going into shrines.
You can also talk to. Someone you can talk to who says how far away from a blood moon you are.
Yeah,
I forget where they are, but they go crazy as soon as you're close to it.
If you know the system, though, you can hold off on the blood moons indefinitely just by going into shrines, because you need to be outside in the open world for the blood moon to trigger, no matter how many nights have gone by. I have to say, the blood moon sequence was one of the scariest things in a video game. I was so freaked out the first time it happened, and I had no idea what the hell was going on. Well, because like there's a build up to it, right? You see the moon start to rise like normal, except it's this really bright blood red, and then smoke starts rising from the ground over time, and it's like, and the music starts going wibbly.
Because this is Thriller.
The first time I did it, though, I was like in an open plain, and like I had a perfect view of the sky, so I saw the moon rise up like normal, and then it was red, and I'm like, the fuck? And then all of this other stuff started happening, and I was freaking the hell out at that point. It might have even been before the Switch even let you collect video, and I was playing on my handheld, so I had no way to like capture it, and I was freaking out, man. I had no clue what to do. And then I was like, oh, right, okay. And then every time after that, I was like, okay, yeah, I get it.
It's one of those things the game deliberately doesn't tell you about unless you talk to a certain NPC too. So in a lot of cases, players are going to encounter it without knowing what the hell's going on.
Yeah, which I think is more effective, to be fair, because the blood moon is supposed to intimidate you.
Yeah, I mean, they put the NPC who tells you about the concept directly on like the beginner path by the stables that you're going to pass if you go toward the dueling peaks, but you know, it's 2022, 2023. Nobody talks to NPCs anymore. Y'all are spoiled.
I think for this game specifically, there needed to be some sort of Coco that speeds up the time of the day. It not just to ignore the blood moon shit if you really don't want to, but also to deal with those nighttime map challenges.
That would have been really helpful, yeah. And you know, that's another thing Breath of the Wild does do, because like at any time you can just drop some fire, drop some flint, create a campfire.
Actually, what if that is the new Coco that they're teasing?
Oh, we're gonna light one on fire? God, that's dark.
No, it's like, what if it's just a Coco that like accelerates the time of the day?
It's a Coco with a torch in its head, and it's just like, hey, I'm your personal mobile campfire. Just talk to me, and I'll let you skip to a certain time of day, or skip past the rain if it's raining. What do you mean you can't climb? Well, Knuckles can climb, so this feature is for him. That would be funny if Knuckles slipped down the walls whenever it rained. That would be
the
just like...
little animations on the overworld of these guys like marching like soldiers was pretty cute. I do have to say.
That sounds good.
Isn't it, does Knuckles sound a little weird in this game too? Because we were talking about early in the game how Sonic sounds very deep. Knuckles also sounds a little different than the other.
Well, it's his new voice actor from Team Sonic Racing. I think it was.
Oh, he has
Travis
a new voice
Williams, just like that.
He has a new
No,
voice
Travis Will's name was like Generations and stuff.
No, Team Sonic Racing.
The thing is, we've had a new-ish voice cast for a while, but Knuckles hasn't been in very many of the games since then, so he hasn't had a consistent voice actor across the entire Chris Redfield era of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Like he still sounds somewhat different than like Forces, though, is also the thing.
Because it's not the same person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, my point is he appeared in Sonic Forces with one voice actor, but that was like the only game he had like a prominent voice role in during this era. So it's the only voice we have that we can really associate with him, you know?
I just like how I type in Knuckles voice actor and it's Idris Elba. And it's like, okay, yeah, I'm talking about the game stuff.
I mean, you're not. Oh my.
Yeah, you see, that's what we're talking about.
I told you, it's so awful.
Yeah, it's bad. They should have just used.
They use it more than
Master.
once too.
Yeah, they do. Like we had the cutscene after this, or this very cutscene here.
It's like, you know, it feels like a placeholder. Okay, that was cute. Okay, if they approach the actual flashback with the same effort that they did with like the animation of the Cocos and stuff, then it would have been great. But it just feels like this awkward example of jank right in the middle of an otherwise good cutscene.
Like they couldn't have just taken the models for Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles that they already have and just make something that looks similar to that scene.
If they were going to just use a screenshot of something, I'll tell you what they could have used. A screenshot of that animation that they did for this game where Knuckles is guarding the Master Emerald, you know? Use a screenshot of that. It makes more sense.
All right, so correction, even though the comment section is probably already correcting us, but thank you for the engagement, idiots. Travis William was last voiced Knuckles in Forces. Starting in Team Sonic Racing, it's Dave B. Mitchell.
Okay, so this is a really freaking awkward minigame where you have to wait for them to do that, run up here, and then stomp to insta-kill them. It's the only way you're going to finish this in time because you've got like a minute. Fighting these things manually is not going to work. Why do you only have a minute to fight these things? Well,
they want you to learn the insta-kill, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I don't think this works on the regular enemies to begin with, but like, I guess the Coco would be really disappointed in Sonic if he took any time at all to finish this.
Oh yeah, it's typical video game nonsense where you have to blow up this robot's trash, but you took 2 seconds longer than he wanted, so he throws more trash on the ground and is having you blow it up again.
Can we not? You're triggering some serious Vietnam War flashbacks for me.
And then he's going to do the same thing with his boxes too.
Well, you know what? The Fire Flower Challenge in Galaxy 2 wasn't actually that bad.
Yeah, that's because you don't have to be precise. You can just wag the thing and go wee.
Yeah, but throwing bombs to blow up that goddamn garbage was so imprecise. I hated it. And they did it twice. Okay.
Why is the ground made of xylophones? I don't get it.
I don't know. I don't know why these guys sound like xylophones, but it is pretty charming. Also, Sonic characters salute really weird.
Yeah, because their arms don't reach all the way to their foreheads.
Well, I mean, they could just extend their elbows out a little, but it's like, I don't know. Is that a Japanese salute or?
It might be. I'm not sure.
I mean, I know different countries have different salutes, but like that. But they're just holding their arm up like almost perfectly vertical. It looks like they're waving sideways.
Yep.
Or reaching for something in the ceiling.
The Coco stories are really sad, though.
Because you're helping them find closure,
well, I
essentially.
mean, the tone of the game is bittersweet, and they do that really well with the Cocos. Because the Cocos are sweet, but they're also ghosts, and you're resolving their unfinished business Casper the Friendly Ghost style. So
yeah,
we need to get that guy from the Casper movie in here. He'd be really good at this.
Which one?
The original Casper movie, the live action one in the mansion.
Sonic's never had a serious conversation with Knuckles in his life, and he doesn't know how to do it.
Well, I mean, yeah. His normal interactions with Knuckles are pretty flippant, so.
You may be the last.
Yeah, but Knuckles, you ever considered the following? That they had it coming.
What about the Peck-a-Mech guy?
I also like, however, that in this game, Sonic calls Knuckles Nux, which is a really old nickname for Knuckles that originates from like the early Web 2.0, Web 1.0 internet days when every website would have Sonic MIDI files playing back then. Yeah.
Oh, you're right. They do have fuck me looks in this.
Now kiss.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, so, they're talking about, like, Knuckles might take, like, a vacation after this, and I guarantee you the very next game is going to be, someone stole the Master Emerald one day Knuckles took the day off.
I don't know. If you were to give the exact look Sonic was giving Knuckles there to your girlfriend, I think she'd be like, what, do I have something on my face? That just looks like annoyed.
What frame rate does this game run at? Does it run at 60?
You can run it at 60 or you can run it at 30 if you have it on 4K mode.
Do the cutscenes run at 30 FPS no matter what?
Yes.
Okay, that's why.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not like a problem. It was just something I only noticed right now.
I think I am running the game at 60. Also, check out that epic like rail launch. This was the point in the game where I started consciously trying to do that a lot of the time. So you're gonna see me launch into the sky all epic like and then completely miss my objective a lot of the time.
Oh, like it's Tony Hawk. Actually, no, that's more of an SSX thing. Is like launching and getting like 45 seconds of airtime and doing insane tricks and then not landing and losing all those points. That's more SSX than Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk's is like you're doing a 15-minute rail grind combo and then you fall and break your ass and have to redo the whole thing all over again.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I'm terrible at both games, just in case you were wondering. Although does the Switch version of the Tony Hawk remake run okay?
I think it does.
Okay, well then I need to play it at some point then, because I haven't played that game since I was like 9.
Just can't play it on stream because of copyright music. You have to turn the music off if you want to play it on anything.
It's okay. I'll just play my own MIDI versions of all that shit.
Yeah, just sing a cappella.
Yeah.
I like how streaming games has become such a ubiquitous thing that games are starting to include streaming modes that turn off copyrighted music or cover up
And
the nudity.
as
or
they should.
whatever.
I think as they should. I think it's really considerate if you have a volume slider for music or something like that.
It's like, okay, it's all well and good if a game wants to include the naughty bits as a visible object on your character creation screen, even though it's a first-person game and you never see that during the actual game. But like, Cyberpunk 2077 was at least courteous enough to let you cover that up with an option in the options menu. Thank you. Now I can actually stream the game. I never will, but I can if I choose to.
Games have done a lot of cool stuff with that. Have any of you guys heard of the game Cult of the Lamb?
Yes.
Yeah, that game.
I've heard of it.
So it's like it's a roguelike game where you play as an adorable lamb and you form a cult and murder all of the infidels that try to go against you.
Devolver Digital published it, just so you know what kind of game we're talking about here.
Oh no, it's really good. It's just also kind of janky. But one of the things they have is if you're streaming the game, you can set it up so that your followers are people who join your cult. And like you can marry your followers and murder them and whatnot. So like it would be like, I'm streaming the game and it's just like, oh, Ryan joined my cult. I'm gonna brainwash Ryan and make him scrub the latrines. Ha ha ha. And it's just like you can do really cool stuff with like integrating Twitch accounts and whatnot. And I'd like to see more games try to do that.
Well, I mean,
kind of thing.
Twitch integration is a different thing, and there are some cool things. Like I think Baldur's Gate 3 has a system where you can set it up so that.
Sorry, you're supposed to get hit for that. I know, but it was just funny just seeing you like instead of deflecting it, get knocked on your ass.
So, like, Baldur's Gate 3 has a Twitch integration thing, I think, where you can set it up so that your Twitch community, your chat box, the people in the chat can vote on choices that you make during the game. Which would be pretty... Which, you know, I can see that being a pretty fun thing.
So they made Twitch Plays Pokemon into the actual game.
I guess so. I mean, with RPGs like Baldur's Gate, there are a lot of choices to make about... like classes, dialogue choices, all that stuff. So, a lot of the time, if you like,
what? Sorry, what
just
just happened to you there? What hurt you?
Most of the time, if you wanted to like have the community actively participate in the dialogue choices for a Western RPG, you'd have to just verbally ask them, and then wait for everyone to catch up with a stream delay so that they've all voted, and then you have to like scroll through your chat to see what everyone voted for. But I think Baldur's Gate 3 has a Twitch integration function where they can just do an in-game poll, and you can see the results right there. And that's a pretty cool idea. I like that. But what I was talking about before was just like turning certain things off so that it's Twitch friendly.
Okay, this was a classic Sonic level from Generations, right?
Yes, this was
Yes,
the
it was.
classic. This was the classic Sky Sanctuary one that I was looking at, that I was talking about before, that has multiple exits at the end of different routes. But this one only has 2 of the 3 routes that the original level had, which is odd to me.
Well, I'm just glad that they didn't like lock red rings behind each individual pathway.
Yeah, that was kind of obnoxious. I'm not gonna lie. That was not a fun red ring hunt back in Generations when you basically needed to do 3 separate runs of the level to get them all.
But at least you only had to get the 5 red rings. I didn't even know that in Sonic Forces that there were like moons you had to get after you got rings, and then medals you had to get after moons or some shit.
Basically, what you would have to do is you'd have to get all 5 red rings, which you could do in multiple runs, but then you'd have to get the numbers, which you have to get in one go because you have to get them all in order. And then once you've done that, the silver moon tokens would appear, and those are like the frickin' purple coins or something in old school Mario.
Weren't there like 3 tiers of collectibles in Forces?
Yeah.
3 tiers of collectibles, and you couldn't just go after them all at once. You had to get one, and then you had to finish the level. Then you had to get the other. Then you had to finish the level. Then you had to get the other, and then you had to finish the level.
No, Mario Run, and that's kind of a weird comparison, did the exact same thing.
Yeah, but Mario Run is
with
also a
different
game you're
collectibles.
intended to replay the levels over and over again. Like,
Yeah.
the idea of replaying Sonic Forces levels is, I would rather do almost anything else.
I mean, you say that, but at the same time, Sonic Boost gameplay is also intended to be replayable. But like,
yeah, but they're
like,
supposed to be replayable because the level's fun is the thing. Like, I didn't replay SA2 levels over and over again to get better ranks. I did it because I had fun playing them.
What I'm trying to say is, like, the problem is more that the collectibles are in a compulsory way. They're made so that you can't get them all in one go. Which was also the problem with putting different red rings at the end of different exits in this level back in Generations.
I mean, I guess I don't inherently dislike the idea of them not being collectible in one go, because like that's one of the classic things about old Sonic design is that there's 3 routes through a stage that like you can slip between route 1 to 3 and then to 2, but there's basically 3 routes through every stage. So I guess the idea of making you see the other parts of the stage and making you do more than one run doesn't inherently bother me. The idea that you get all the collectibles and then you have to get more collectibles after you've gotten them all and then do it again just seems
at the same
obnoxious.
time, even if the collectibles are spread out across different routes, if you, generally speaking, if you know how to cross between those routes, you can take a path through the level that leads you to all 5 collectibles.
Like if you started at the top one and then jump down, I guess technically.
Yeah,
you're right.
if you know where to go, so it makes for a fun navigational challenge on later playthroughs. The problem with the red rings at the end of Sky Sanctuary specifically was that there were 3 exits that all required you to go down 3 different routes, or a variation of 2 different routes in one case, but you had to do it 3 separate times. There was no way to get all 3 of those rings in one go. And once you're en route to get the red ring, it's at the end of an auto run path at the very back end of the level, so you get the ring and the level. It's just forcing you to play the game 3 different ways.
Am I the only one who tries to solve the puzzle before Lewis can finish it in my head for these like overhead ones?
I think that's just kind of like an instinctive thing. I mean, I'm doing that like in my head as I watch this. I'm like, okay, which way am I supposed to run?
No idiot, do this.
I'm like trying to noodle it out in my head, thinking, okay, which way am I supposed to run to get this done?
It goes to show like how utterly reckless I am with them myself personally, because Lewis takes a very slow, methodical, like single step approach. I just walk and hope I get it as I'm making it up as I
Well,
go.
fun fact, John, if you do it right okay, game, sure. If you do it right the first time, you don't have to try more than once.
Well,
Yeah.
it's more like I see these things and my brain automatically switches into puzzle solving mode. So I follow the squares with my eyes and I'm like, do I run this way? Do I run that way? I'm solving it as I move, effectively. I like very like not. It's not often that I have to stop and plot a course before I start moving.
There have been a couple of ones where there was more than one way to solve it.
I take 1 step forward and 2 steps back. Fuck, I fucked up.
Yeah, I don't mind the floor square puzzles too much because they usually do at least do a competent job at presenting you a decent little puzzle to solve.
Yeah, I mean, puzzle solving is like not typically a thing that's in many Sonic games, but I feel like with a game like this, you do have to slow the pace down sometimes, and finding something interesting to do is necessary.
I don't think it's really a matter of slowing the pace down as it is the fact that, there have to be objectives somewhere, and it's kind of lame if all the objectives are just pick up the thing. So, having that variation helps. Oh, I have no idea why File Explorer just decided to pop up on top of VLC Media Player, but that's a thing that just
File Explorer jump scare.
Yeah, File Explorer.
You're going to run into a mini boss, and then it's going to be like Windows.
It just says File Explorer.
It wouldn't be that out of place because you've had like Shark, Tower, Hippo, tax evasion. There's been some weird
If
ones.
it's like an antivirus software, it's like it just isn't fast.
Well, if Sonic had downloaded antivirus software, then maybe he wouldn't be caught in this problem in the first place, Now,
Did you
quick
see-
word from our sponsor, McAfee. Please don't actually get McAfee. It sucks.
I was gonna say, is it?
Matt-
Don't you not want that one?
McAfee is a terrible virus protection program. Don't do it.
Also, isn't the dude dead?
Have you watched the Lazy Game Review video on McAfee virus software?
I don't think I have.
Dude lived a crazy life. Go watch it if you ever have time. Just search like LGR McAfee, and you'll probably find it. Oh, did you get the whole map?
I think so.
So do you have to do
If it
like
zooms out,
every
yeah.
single map puzzle in order to do the map, or are there like specific, or is there like 50 and you can
No,
do
you have
40?
to do all the beacons.
Okay.
No, you have to do it. But there's not that many. Like, so the beacons are labeled linearly starting from the first island. So like, because this one is labeled as 36 does not mean there are 35 other beacons that Lewis can do in this map specifically. They are labeled linearly from island 1 to 3.
Oh, okay.
Or I guess 4, counting to that too.
Okay, so but you have to, but if there's 10 on the island, you have to get all 10, and then
You have to get all 10.
Okay.
Yes. Which honestly isn't that bad. The only ones that really suck are the ones that only activate at night.
One of the consistently annoying things about open world Sonic Frontiers is how many times you'll be running one way across an island just trying to get where you're trying to go, and then a boost pad is just in your path, and you don't see it until
sends you back the other way.
it sends you back the other way into another 3 boost pads that lock you into a 2D platforming section. And it's just like, God, I just want to go north.
So the majority of Island 3, you mean.
I just want to go north, damn it.
it's weird though because like the rails, for example, pretty much all of them have been both ways. Like you're not locked to specific directions when you go on a rail. So
They do have like boost points that are supposed to send you in a certain direction along the rail, but you can usually hop over those unless they're sending you through a loop. Those are hard to get around. But for the first 2 islands, at least, it's usually not too challenging to figure out a way to MacGyver your way around the obstacle courses and use them as springboards to get where you're trying to go.
How can something this old be this advanced?
Island 3 is a bit more draconian in how much it railroads you through obstacle courses, though. But since it's so built on 2D obstacle courses, Island 3 also presents a lot of opportunities to come at those 2D obstacle courses from about halfway through them and just, jump around on them without the camera lock.
So Sonic's supposed to be like getting like sick from the crap he inhaled from saving Knuckles and Amy, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't start like bothering him visibly until Island 3.
It's just weird that they didn't even mention it.
Well,
Like sense.
they mention it a few.
Oh.
They mention it a few times when it first happens, but Sonic doesn't start visibly appearing to be tired or weary or anything until his cutscenes with Tails on Island 3. His idle animation also gets a bit more strained and tired looking as you go through.
Dude, like he has a headache.
Yeah, and as you go through the game for the first few islands.
Which again, they should have done more with. Unfortunately.
for an overarching plot like that, like there's definitely an issue of overdoing it because then it's like, okay, yes, we get it. You're doing foreshadowing. You're very smart. But it can feel like it's coming out of nowhere if you don't mention
Yeah.
it enough. Like even just one time on this island, I think.
Well,
would
I mean,
have helped.
well, I mean, the other thing is that as you go through the game, your idle animation gets progressively more exhausted. So whenever you stop, you see that Sonic isn't feeling so well, and he's feeling worse than he was on the other island. So there is that.
I do like show don't tell, but you might also just be the kind of person to press pause when you need to take a break instead of letting Sonic stand there, and you might not ever see it.
Well, I mean, this is the kind of game where you're going to stop and look around at some point, but
Yeah,
How long does it take for the animation to play though? When you
it's immediate.
yeah,
Okay.
whenever you stop.
okay, well then you're probably gonna see it. Then you're right.
Yeah. The other thing though is that, like, I mentioned this earlier, but they did have what seems to have been a
What?
damn it.
It looked like there was ground there that you could land on.
Yeah, I missed.
There was, but he overshot
I
it.
missed
But he
time
overshot
that
it.
badly. But
Okay.
what was I saying? Oh yeah, I said this earlier, but it seems like there was a cut subplot where Sonic was going to be more like in your face, affected by things like losing his memory and stuff, and that would have been cool. But I guess they decided it was too dark for Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't know.
I think I said it before and earlier in the commentary, but there needs to be more of a visual tell that something was wrong outside of my head hurts. Because they play out like the whole little red corruption thing that overtakes his body, and I think it would have been a cool visual contrast to him looking like half of what Sage looks
I
like.
think part of why they don't show it too often is because if they did, then Tails would be a lot more worried about it, and that would have taken over their conversations on that particular island. But I do agree that they should have had him flashing like red and black and stuff on Island 4 specifically.
Yeah.